Okay, let's go. We got a video for a set called Tigerism Dragonfly. Let me go ahead and get over here. We're going to talk about the Let's Shore. If you are a subscriber to my channel, go ahead and comment below. This set right here, no. But there's I believe it's an $800 set that is branded drivers as well on the inside, a nice hard metal shell, a cable that's really essentially a complete clone of the Liquid Links Venom. Is going to go to somebody that comments below this video, so comment below if you're a subscriber. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and do the same on the unboxing channel where I unbox this set right here and score. Everybody gets their stuff. There's 2 people that are waiting right now, but all the other people that you've heard announced as winners previously have got it. The Terra that was $1,000, that should be in that dude's hand, so if you got any questions, go ahead and ask him. He's the guy that always says Wu-Tang. He should have it by now. Let's get to this set. This is an interesting video because you have no idea probably about this company. It's called Tigerism. They made a set, I can't remember the name. It was a dynamic driver set. The Dark Magician, I think, was its name. And it had a fantastic driver, and it was tuned really good, and it was like a kind of like a Twilight, more affordable than that, and actually it sounded better than that. A lot of people thought. I wouldn't argue with that, really. So they make good stuff. This is a set that costs the same as the Let's Shore Cadenza 12, which you might be familiar with because you might own it. You may have seen some takes on it. You might have demoed it somewhere. I'm going to compare this set with that because you likely don't know this one, but you do know that. And there's a reason for that. One is these are multi-driver sets, both of these. The second is that they both contain branded drivers. Not only that, so this is $2,000 in US money. It's like 3,000 Japanese because the yen, my God. So what does Let's Shore say? A company whose some of their stuff is absolutely fantastic. The result of years of experience by Let's Shore's team, top spec components. Ergonomic titanium chassis, LSS Kevlar DD, Knowles balanced armatures, Sonian balanced armatures, 6-way crossover, then the cable. Top spec. These are the best that they can get and put together because everybody knows this, and I'll talk about this towards the end of the video. The set that we're talking about today, the Tigerism Dragonfly, is Knowles SWFK 4. It's got 4 inside of it. The DWFK, the Sonian 2800 series, the Sonian 3800 series, which is in a few of my collabs actually, and it's in a lot of stuff that you've heard because it's a really well-regarded, well-performing balanced armature. So this set and the Let's Shore are both around $2,000. This set and that set, Let's Shore, Cadenza, are both heavy metal shells, this being a steel and that being titanium. You can put into that whatever you want. The cable on this is better than the one that comes on that one, though it doesn't have switchable termination. This cable is really fantastic, and I might put up a picture if you haven't seen it. The up close, it's one of the nicer ones that I've ever seen. So we've got multi-driver, branded driver. The one company that's more well known to you is highlighting that they're using known drivers. And now the ultimate reason for comparison is, as we look at these on a graph lined up at 500, the reason that I thought the Cadenza was not quite my thing, but it was a good thing, and I thought I could see why people would highly regard it, is it lacked some note weight in my mind. Like it wasn't quite performing for the low end, the rhythm section, the drum kit, the bass, guitar, or low frequency rhythm timing instruments in whatever genre I was listening to. I thought the Cadenza was just a little bit light for me. The Dragonfly, on the other hand, is pretty much perfect. It elevates that area. It also has a bump in the upper mids, pushing the ear gain a little bit forward. Doesn't have more amplitude, it's just a little bit more forward, which makes harmonics, because the vocals really end for male and female, they're not really different, to around 1.5K, and so you start to get into early harmonics for a lot of instruments in my library, including vocals. When you lift up your bass, before I get into the full review, let me explain something to you, and you might know this, but bear with me because sometimes people don't. If you have a very nice car audio system or a home audio system, there's all kind of stuff you can do. DSPs, time correction, which is based on the distance you are from the drivers, including the volume of space, the measurements of the room, the reflections. You can do all kinds of stuff. In a car, because it's a very enclosed space, you can really get jiggy with it. And really do crazy stuff. and make it sound like arguably better than any system you can get, because it's easier to control that space, especially if you're using dampening material in the doors and all around to keep the reflection and the vibrations to a minimum. Now, if you take that set that's been time corrected with its components and all of that, very expensive, a lot of money, professional install, done well, nothing has been left to chance, and you crank up the subwoofer to 15-inch, you're going to take away the benefit of the component system, because you can't pick up what they're doing very well anymore, because the low frequency is dominating everything. So those drivers are still there. They're still just as expensive and just as set up as they were before, but you can't pick them up because you're being overwhelmed with low frequency. IEMs are any different from that. When you lift up the mid-bass, sub-bass not so much, but when you lift up the mid-bass too much, it doesn't matter if stuff is crossed over at 600, 2K, 8K, multiple crossovers. It doesn't matter that there's separate physical drivers, like your car audio component system, that's crossed over and taken care and dedicated and corrected and adjusted. It doesn't matter anymore, because the low frequency is overwhelming all of that. IEMs are exactly the same. If you put too much bass in, it doesn't matter what you put in after it. You can't really pick it up. You can have all the best drivers on the market, but if you got too much bass, that's why really heavy bass sets don't need too many drivers, because you're really, it pulls into question what the Nightjar duality. It's just two dynamic drivers. One of them is dedicated to low end and power, and then the other is, I think, maybe full range, but I'm not sure about that set. But you don't need to throw 10 drivers at a bass head set. You can cut at 200 hertz and maybe kind of almost get the best of both worlds, but if you're really sensitive to low frequency, that still might not work out. I bring that up because this low end is lifted, but the ear gain is kind of pushed a little forward. It's kind of compensating. When I listen to vocals, I'm not really hearing any degradation that I would usually pick up with sets that, like I just did a Flip Ears Legion, and I said that was kind of, it's like the bass was taking over too much. I want to say Flip Ears Legion right now, because I reached out to them and I said there's another one that doesn't have that electric driver in it. I think it's called the Aegis. And a lot of companies, you know who I'm talking about, a lot of companies would just be like, okay, yeah, we'll get back to you. Flip Ears was like, sure, no problem, we'll send you a full inbox so you can do a proper unboxing. And it's not personal. And I'm not the god of audio. Nobody is. I don't care how much you hype up some reviewer. It's based on their ears and their preferences and their libraries. Mine is specific to that. The music that I listen to, which I show you in every video and talk about it in every video, is related to my takes. It's not personal. And Flip Ears didn't take it that way and are totally like, cool. I'm very happy to help Flip Ears grow in this space, because they got the brain and the mindset to do it. The good audio is going to win at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter if 3 big reviewers say it's not that great. If a bunch of people with no skin in the game come in and say, I bought it and I loved it, it was worth every penny, you're going to win. They know that. So I got to shout out Flip Ears. The Pinoy boys. A lot of my friends in Hawaii are Filipino, first, second generation Hawaiian. They're some of the best people I've ever met in my life. Really, really nice and welcoming. And the cuisine is balut? No. But the cuisine is fantastic. Now, getting back to this set, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about the bass. Right, we're listening to Kendrick Lamar. At the low end with the 808 Roland drops, this has enough oomph and power for stuff that I listen to, like Nas, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, Public Enemy, Wu-Tang. For that kind of stuff, this does it well, though it's not a bass head set. If you were saying I'm a real bass head and I want something that really hammers, this doesn't do that, but I don't feel like I need to hit an EQ like I would with the cadenza. The cadenza really needs to be here because it's so much like this is a completed cadenza to me in my library, my ears. The 4 and 5 string bass guitar sounds good. It sounds energetic and potent. It's the rhythm section. It's pinning down the tracks. It never felt like it was lacking or overpowering. As we get into the track off of Led Zeppelin's 4th album with the iconic kick drum called When the Levee breaks. It's supposed to be an iconic slamming track. It in fact does convey that very good. A lot of sets surprisingly don't, even when the graph would indicate it would. It simply sounds like a kick drum. This sounds emphatic and very much produced as it is. So the low end is good. There's really nothing there to talk about. As we move into vocals, and that's what the mids are for me, because they really, the mid bass and the upper mids are the bookends really for the vocals. And if you push one up or pull the other down or pull them both down or push them both up, you're going to get really different presentations of vocals. I really like what this does for vocals. I will say though, if you really like stuff like the Deuce, which I just saw a Super Reviews video, I didn't even know he did one for the Deuce. Listening to him, I never really came to my brain like he would probably really like this, because it's very clean. It does hammer, but it's not really blowing out the vocals. He gave it a really good review. Thank you to him. It's been a while since I got a good review from him, because I'm a bass lover and he's different library, different tastes. But this would be not that. The variations like the Deuce, this is a little warmer than that, so be aware of that. But I really think that it makes it sound more musical, and it doesn't really get in the way of vocals. So I think vocals sound great. Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, Nina doing the cover of Blondie. These all come across in a way that I find to be appealing. They don't jump out as being unnatural in any way on first, second, or third listen. Moving into the final phase, call it treble. Harmonics. When a stick strikes a ride cymbal, we isolate it on a spectrogram, and we could literally hear the stick and remove everything else. It was around, I think it was between 460 and 560 is where that sound was, and I played it. I got to figure out what video that was. And you can hear the stick, and we took away everything else. Now, if you let the filter go beyond that, you start to hear the point where the stick leaves the ride, and then the ride just starts to vibrate and create the noise that you hear. I would say maybe up to 90% of what you hear is the result of the stick striking, or the pick plucking on the string, or the finger pulling on the bass guitar string, or the finger pushing down on the piano key or the keyboard. Those initial moments are the fundamental moments, and they usually exist by coincidence in the fundamental region, and most of what they create in sound is in the upper mids and treble, which is the harmonics region, which is an area that can be quite deal breaking for a lot of people. Even when everything else is fine, the fit is great, it's got bass that's good enough, it's a little zingy, or it just ends up being like 30 minutes max instead of what you thought would be maybe a good 2-hour listen. This doesn't hit wrong in that way at all. I found the cadenza to be a little bit intense after over 30 minutes. I can't say the exact number without pulling smoke out my butt, but there were pull it out of the ear, and like that's pretty intense. That was a little longer than I should have listened. So the harmonics of this are done well. Let me go ahead and rate this. Hope it was free. It's going to be the other one. This is for Patreons if it does go up, or I keep it. Coping is working. No. Yes. When I first saw the picture of it, I thought this looks like a copy of the Storm, but I've got the Storm right here, and they actually don't look much different. They're not really the same, really, on close inspection, but at first blush, one reminded me of the other. But if you're going to do that, make it done well, and they really did a fantastic job, so I'm not going to hammer them on that. It's in a Aurelius Trailey type case. It's with a fantastic cable. It's branded drivers. It's well built. I'm not going to. But I did think about that. Competes with its peers. There's a lot of sets that cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and now going more up that I wouldn't pay the money for if they were $2,000. So I think this is, compared to its peers, specifically the cadenza or other sets that you want to bring up, a lot of recent ones, absolutely competes with peers. I'd buy it. I would not have, just from getting on the internet, looking at it, saying, oh, it's got branded drivers. I didn't understand, because you can't until you listen to something, and also the cable. Man, sell this cable separately. Eason, is that the guy's name who runs this company? Get this out there as another option. This is beautiful. Wow. Cable's bonkers. Really beautiful. So I would buy it now because I have hindsight on my side. I have listened to it. I have felt it in my hand. I have used it. I would pay for this. I've paid so much more for so much less. I would absolutely pay for this. And now before I break out, I want to bring out something. So I'm talking about branded drivers, and I'm showing you how Let's Shore is talking about top spec components. And there's a lot of people, if you think that the drivers within aren't really a big deal and you just want to go by your ear and your ears are good enough because you're a trained listener, and yet spout just some crazy takes on the internet, then I'm not talking to you, obviously. So don't get in your feelings and start talking smack online like you do, because this isn't personal. I'm just not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that pay $100 for a set and, oh, it's a DD plus it's 2 Knowles. Or they pay $550 for a set and, oh, it's a DD and it's 2 Knowles, 1 Sonian and EST. Or like they're counting and know the drivers as they climb up the hobby, and then when they start to get into Summit Fire, they start to realize the transparency gets more and more opaque. It's more difficult to figure it out. Why would that be? Because if there are tiers of quality with the engines inside of these earphones, it should be more promoted. Like, we're using this. Huh? Like, that's what you're paying for, buddy, because you're not getting that down in the more affordable region, because they don't like pocket watching, which is you calculating their margins. Does that make sense? This is literally business. The lumens, the ratings of this monitor right here versus its competitors, everything that's inside of it, everything inside of my computer, everything everywhere discloses happily, especially when they think they're better than their rivals, what they've got on the inside. Let's Sure is doing it right here. They're telling you, hey, we got top spec components. They know what they're doing. They OEM and do stuff for other companies. These are among the best drivers that you can get. And if you think that there's other companies that make equivalents to that, then you have failed, because you've had years to start to build up an alternate to Knowles and Sonian. Because you think the people are going to say, oh, you took that literally because that originally came and by a lawsuit from Knowles, because somebody who worked took the gear and the development sheets and basically just thieved it. People don't want to get into that, so they don't build it up. But that's on you, that you got to say custom. I've talked to 2 companies. Both have reached out to me. No, excuse me. I actually initiated one, and the other contacted me, and this was just a week ago. And I won't share it because they asked me not to. But they both said essentially the same thing. People don't really know the difference, so it doesn't really matter. And one of them said that they were custom Knowles or Sonian. I don't remember which one. And I said, I know for a fact, talking to people in Sonian and being told about Knowles from people in China at factories, that if you do a custom driver from them, you are licensed and able to say that it is a custom Knowles. And you've seen that on seller sites like Bloom or Music Tech, where it says 2 custom Knowles, 4 custom Sonians. They advertise that because they should, because they spent more money for that. So they do make customs of those brands, but along with paying for that, you get the right to say that you've customized the Sonians to your liking to fit the set and your tuning. Simply saying custom and assigning it to a brand that most people don't know, and you say, well, we talked about it with a Japanese reviewer on X 9 months ago. Nobody knows about that. That's not transparency. That's ridiculous. I'm going to hammer this all the time. The only people that it benefits to not say what the drivers are, like what's inside the Dragonfly and what's inside the Let's Shore Cadenza and other sets that share it, is money. That's it. There's no other reason. And like I said, the people that get 150 and 400 and 500 and they want to move up, and they start to realize this is getting more and more weird. Like, what is this? What's inside this again? And you got to go on this hunt, and then people will ignore your messages on forums because they don't know, or they kind of know but they don't want to get into it because it's like a can of worms. So I'm introducing you to a company that tends to use branded drivers, if not always. and the build quality is solid. And this set, the Dragonfly, and also the Dark Magician, the original, I don't know why they redid that, was one of the better DDs made. It's a very solid company, and the price that they're asking is competitive with the market, and they're transparent with the drivers that they're using inside. It hits on every level. If you're in the market for something that costs $2,000 in that range, I would advise you to consider this set. Ask other people what they think about it. Ask Michael Bruce or people like him. That guy is really not filtered at all. If you know, you know. That guy, he bombs on stuff like a motherfucker. Go ahead and ask him. Ask him about another set that's kind of vague, and then go for it. Transparency, man. It's your right. At the supermarket, at the electronics store, at the home center, wherever you go, you're able to compare the cordless saw and how powerful it is, and how long the battery life is on it, and what kind of battery it is using. All this stuff is part and parcel of living in 2025, like living in the past 20 years, actually. I'm sorry, 50 years. They've been comparing product A to B for a long time. When you see a commercial and say, the other da-da-da, and we da-da-da, and they're confident, if you understand and research, that you'll understand that theirs is the better investment. Phones, they do it all the time. Everybody does it. You starting to spend more money and starting to get more chatter and less actual details is really not cool. And I can't see how that can be argued with. You can go for it, but I'll never agree. And listening to the two companies that have explained it to me, I'm more on this than I was, because they're literally the people that are making these decisions, and they couldn't come up with anything better than people can't really tell anyway. So what does it matter? And we use Sonyans. I might be wrong about this one. I'd have to look at the mail, and I promised I wouldn't share it. But they said one of them, and I said, I know for a fact that you could have said Sony or no, it's custom, because I could show you examples of that. And it's in your right contractually to do that. And then they don't have anything, because what they said is not true. That's a rant, and I swore that I was gonna. This is a video redo, and it was originally like 17 minutes, and I said that's way too long, and I think I'm longer than that right now, or close. So I just did the same video twice. Whatever. Very nice job, and I'm out.